Some places on Earth are better left alone.
It started long before we reached that place, not with screams or monsters rising from the depths, not with fear. It started with small things we chose to ignore. That morning felt normal, too normal. The air off the ocean was cold and clung to the skin like wet cloth. The sky was a pale, washed-out blue with a thin orange scar stretching across the horizon. The kind of sunrise you stop noticing after 10 years hauling nets. The engine hummed steadily beneath our feet, familiar, reassuring. A heartbeat we'd learned to trust. We had done this run hundreds of times. Same battered trawler, same route along the continental shelf, same heavy silence between three men who had known each other too long to need words. Jake stood at the starboard rail, cigarette glowing in the half-light, tapping ash into the water with mechanical precision. Marcus moved along the deck like a machine, checking every rope, every cleat, every knot with his usual obsessive care. I sat on an overturned crate near the stern, straightening a bent hook from yesterday's catch, the metal cold against my numb fingers. No one rushed. No one expected anything different. But the signs were already there. The birds were gone. At first, it barely registered. Then the absence settled in the back of my mind and refused to leave. Hours passed. Not one gull, not one distant cry, no wing slicing the sky. Just silence above us. Quiet today, I muttered, more to myself than anyone. Marcus shrugged without turning his head. Better for fishing, less competition. Maybe, but the water felt wrong too. Too smooth, unnaturally flat, like a sheet of black glass stretched across the ocean. No whitecaps, no breaking waves, nothing disturbing the surface except our own slow wake. Jake squinted into the distance, cigarette forgotten between his lips. You know where we are, right? No one answered right away. We're close, he added quietly. We all knew what he meant. The zone. We never said the full name out loud. Fisherman's superstition. Some called it the dead zone on charts. An unmarked patch of water where GPS sometimes flickered, where catches were unnaturally rich one day and non-existent the next. Old stories spoke of ships that entered and never came out the same. Relax, Marcus said, gripping the wheel tighter than necessary. We're not going in, just skirting the edge. But the current had other plans. The boat began to drift. Not pushed by wind or wave, but pulled, slowly, inexorably, like something deep below was inhaling the entire ocean toward itself. Marcus adjusted the wheel. The boat responded, but sluggishly, as if resisting an invisible force. That's when I felt it for the first time. Not fear, pressure. The air grew heavier, thicker. Each breath required a fraction more effort. My chest felt compressed, like the sky itself was lowering. We should have turned back. We didn't. Drop the net, Jake said, voice flat. The net slid into the water and vanished faster than it should have, swallowed in under 5 seconds. Then the rope snapped tight with brutal force. Marcus lunged for it. Already? We hauled together. The weight was obscene. The rope seared my palms raw. Easy, Jake muttered. But his voice had lost its usual cockiness. It sounded tight, uncertain. When the net finally broke the surface, we froze. Fish, hundreds of them, large, silver, perfect specimens, packed so densely they looked like a solid mass of scales. But none of them moved, not a twitch, not a flap of a gill. Eyes wide open, staring straight up at us with glassy, unblinking accusation. Marcus forced a laugh that died in his throat. Well, jackpot. We dumped them onto the deck. They landed with heavy, wet thuds. Not the lively slapping of fresh catch, but the dull sound of dead weight. They weren't fresh. They felt wrong. Like they had been dead for hours, yet their flesh was firm and cold, as if preserved under impossible pressure. Deep water stuff, Jake said quietly, almost to himself. That's all it is. We dropped the net again. Same result, and again. The deck filled alarmingly fast. Too many fish. Far too many for this spot. Then the smell hit. Not the clean brine of the sea, not even the usual fish stink. Metal, copper, old blood. We noticed the red at the same moment. Thin, dark crimson lines leaking from the fish's eyes, from their gaping mouths, dripping slowly onto the deck in perfect rhythmic drops. No one spoke. Once more, Marcus said, jaw set. One big haul and we head home. That was the mistake. The rope came up heavy again, dragging, fighting us every inch. Something massive was caught below. We pulled, muscles burning, back screaming. When it finally broke the surface, the world seemed to stop. A boot rolled out first, still laced tight, a human leg still inside. Gray, bloated, waterlogged flesh peeling away from bone. Marcus let go of the rope like it had burned him. More followed, a torn jacket, shards of a broken radio, twisted metal scraps that looked like part of a hull. Then, a severed hand, cleanly cut as if by a single powerful bite, fingers still curled. Silence swallowed us. Jake stared down into the black water, eyes wide. "Did you see that?" he whispered. "See what?" he pointed. At first, nothing. Then movement, just beneath the surface. Slow, deliberate circling. A shape too large, too wrong to be a shark. It glided, then vanished into the depths. The sun dropped, not set, dropped, as if someone had yanked a curtain across the sky. Daylight vanished in seconds. Complete suffocating darkness swallowed the ocean. Then the wind came, violent, unnatural. Waves erupted from nowhere, slamming the hull like angry fists. We scrambled for the wheel. The engine roared in protest. It didn't matter. Impact. Something massive struck from below. The boat lifted clear out of the water and slammed back down with bone-jarring force. What the hell was that? Another hit, stronger. Wood splintered. The hull groaned. Marcus lost his footing. He slid across the tilting deck and went over the side without a sound. "Marcus!" We rushed to the rail. Nothing. No splash. No thrashing. Just black, glassy water. Perfectly still where he had fallen. Then the boat lurched violently sideways. The hull split with a sickening crack. Freezing seawater poured in. We lost balance. Everything slid. Nets, fish, tools, all of it crashing toward the edge. And then we were in the ocean. The cold hit like a hammer. The water felt thick, syrupy, resistant. Swimming was like moving through gel. Every stroke took twice the effort. I kicked toward what I hoped was the surface. Something brushed my leg. Soft, cold, intentional. Then my arm, I thrashed harder. Nothing grabbed me, but I knew it was there. Circling, watching, waiting. Darkness took me. When I woke, I was back on the boat, or what remained of it. Half the deck was gone. The hull was split open, flooding slowly. The engine was silent. The air reeked of blood and rot. Jake and Marcus were gone. Only blood remained, smeared in long, dragging streaks across the deck. Not toward the sea, toward the broken railing, as if something had pulled their bodies out of the water and onto the wreck. I found the flare gun with shaking hands and fired it into the black sky. For one brilliant second, light returned. In that flash, I saw it. A massive ship looming less than 200 meters away. Old, rust-eaten, lights dead. But it felt alive, watching. Anything was better than dying alone on this sinking wreck. I swam toward it through the thick, hostile water. The closer I got, the heavier the pressure in my skull became. My ears rang. My vision blurred at the edges. I climbed aboard using a dangling rope ladder that felt slick with something worse than seawater. The smell hit like a wall. Rot, old blood, salt, and something sickly sweet like decaying meat left too long in the sun. The deck was covered in dark stains, long streaked drag marks leading toward open hatches. Suitcases lay scattered. Half-eaten meals sat on tables. Phones and wallets abandoned mid-use. It looked like everyone had vanished in the middle of normal life. I moved deeper into the corridors. The first body I found had been torn apart, not by sharks. The wounds were too deliberate, too human. Bite marks, deep, jagged, as if something with teeth like ours had fed slowly. Then I heard it, a slow, wet dragging sound behind me. I turned. A man stood in the flickering emergency light, barely upright, skin corpse pale and peeling, eyes milky and unfocused. Dried blood caked around his mouth and chin. He was chewing something slowly, mechanically. He looked at me and started walking, then faster, then running. I ran. More emerged from doorways, from vents, from the dark. Dozens, crew, passengers, all broken, all wrong. Flesh hanging in strips, some missing limbs. All of them hungry. I sprinted through endless narrow corridors, their screams echoing behind me. Not human screams, but wet, gurgling howls mixed with words and languages I didn't recognize. Hands clawed at my back. Teeth snapped inches from my neck. I burst onto the main deck. They followed. Slow at first, then faster, as if whatever controlled them was learning. And then I saw him. Jake, standing among the horde, still alive, but only barely. His face was torn open from cheek to jaw. Blood streamed down his chest. One eye was gone. The other still had something human left in it. For one terrible second, our eyes met. He recognized me. Something inside him fought. I saw the struggle in that single eye, A flicker of the man who used to tap ash into the sea and laugh at bad jokes. Then the light died. He lunged with the rest. I grabbed a fuel canister from a nearby locker, hands shaking so badly I nearly dropped it. I poured it in a wide arc across the deck as they closed in. Jake was closest, reaching, fingers brushing my sleeve. I struck the lighter. Fire exploded upward in a roaring wall. The creature screamed, a sound that drilled into my skull. Not pain, something worse. Rage, hunger, betrayal. Even as flames consumed them, they kept coming. Burning flesh sloughing off, bones cracking in the heat. Yet they still crawled forward. I shoved the last intact lifeboat over the side and jumped in. I didn't look back. The burning ship lit the night like a funeral pyre. But the screams, they didn't stop when the flames died. They followed me across the water, fainter but constant. Hours blurred into days, or maybe only minutes. Time had no meaning anymore. The ocean grew calm again, unnaturally calm, as if nothing had ever happened. When the rescue helicopter finally found me, I was drifting alone. No burning ship, no wreckage, no bodies, not even our original trawler. They said I was in severe shock, hallucinating from dehydration and exposure. They gave me sedatives and told me I was lucky to be alive. But I know what I saw. And sometimes, late at night, when the room is dark and quiet, I feel it, something moving under my skin. Slow, patient, hungry. It crawls along my veins, pressing against the inside of my ribs, tasting my thoughts. I remember Jake's eye in that final second. The last spark of who he used to be fighting against whatever had taken him. I wonder how long I have left before the same thing wins inside me. Before I start dragging marks across the floor. Before I start chewing. Before I look in the mirror and see nothing human looking back. The dead zone didn't let us go. It just moved inside. And it's still there, waiting. How long do I have left?
If you dream about the ocean tonight, don't go in.